Let me introduce you to Joe Biden's latest gaff, slip up, whatever you want to call it. Take a look.
Has Vladimir Putin been weakened by recent events? It's hard to tell, but he's clearly losing the war in Iraq. He's losing the war at home. And he has become a bit of a pariah around the world.
I had to put this upside down. I was like, what? The war in what? Iraq? Are you having nightmares, Joe? Are you having regrets about what you did? The war in what?
Become a bit of a war in Iraq. He's losing the war at home. And he has become a bit of a pariah around the world.
Jesus. Wake up, Joe. Joe! Joe! Wake up! Wake up! What are you doing? What are you doing?
Vladimir Putin's been weakened by recent events. It's hard to tell, but he's clearly losing the war in Iraq. He's losing the war at home.
This guy's having nightmares. He's having flashbacks. Yeah. All right. I think this was the Freudian slip, the most Freudian of slips. Jesus. Because he been drilling this crap into people's brains and his own brain since the 1990s. War in Iraq. The war in Iraq. Let's go to war in Iraq. War in Iraq. He it's been internalized now forever. War in Iraq. War in Iraq. Let's go to war in Iraq.
And he has become a bit of a pariah around the world.
No, actually, you're becoming a goddamn pariah with the way that you speak, man. Jesus Christ. It's like every other day he has some slip up. I think just yesterday he said also that he sold state secrets, but I think to be fair, to cut him some slack, to give him the benefit of the doubt, that was cut short, and he was giggling after, so it was clearly a joke. I mean, I don't I see the world is not going easy on Mr. Kerry and Biden over here, huh? Iraq is coming back to haunt them. Honestly, man, these people should be pariahs. These people should be pariahs, after what they did. Jesus, I don't even know how they still have jobs. It's like they fail upwards. Kill 1 million people, become president. You have to keep in mind that John Kerry and Joe Biden, because we were just talking about Iraq. Well, he was anyway. They were Democrats, yes. And at the time when the war in Iraq began, this was a neoconservative Republican administration. Okay, George Bush, Donald Rumsfeld, Paul Wolfowitz, Jesus Christ. I mean, the whole bag of you talk about scum. Anyway, just to show you again how there's no difference between these guys, especially now, because a lot of neoconservatives are now they identify as Democrat. But again, going back to my main point, at the time, Mr. Biden over here, he's the one that guaranteed this approval of the AUMF 2002. So AUMF is authorization for the use of military force. It's basically in U.S. law. This is something that was result of the 1973 War Powers Resolution. So if a president wants to go to war, he has to go through Congress and get it approved through Congress, and then of course this is separate of immediate actions to supposedly defend the United States, in which he has like 48 hours to notify them. But it's within the same framework. This is because Nixon was caught lying about Vietnam, so they tried to rein in the war powers that the president has, and have more checks and balances. Well, here's the thing: there's nobody checking or balancing anything because they have the same policies. Mr. Kerry over here, I forgive me if I didn't make this clear enough. He voted to go to war in Iraq. And now he's saying, we stood up and did the right thing when we found out it was a lie. What, you stood up and what? You farted? What's the right thing that you did, John? Huh? What did you do? It's like Biden. Why? Yeah, I'd like to know why. These are Democrats, right? So they facilitated the passage of this AUMF under a neoconservative. It's not just Republican, neoconservative, across the dregs, of politics. And and you know, they still have jobs, and no one really cares. I mean, the reason Kerry was kind of held you know, to account here is that he's on French media. France did not join in on this coalition of the willing, as it were, you know, as it was named. What a joke. So, you know, I think at the time they wanted to like rename French fries freedom fries because, you know, as like a sign of boycott. In any case, you know, Biden is clearly having a Freudian slip here. The only pariah, man, I gotta be honest with you. After Iraq, the United States became a pariah around the world. Truly, you know, because you have to understand, after 9/11, a lot of people, you know, had a lot of sympathy for the U.S., right? Because it was, you know, you had a few thousand people killed, and you had tons of countries around the world. I mean, I think the absolute majority of countries around the world were sending messages of condolences to the United States, and you know, expressing their sympathies, and then you know, within less than 2 years, everything changed because they used 9/11 as a, you know, a pretext to do the Patriot Act, to start this war on terror, you know, mass surveillance. And of course they were always doing these things, but now it became out in the open, right? And then a lot of people started resenting the United States and Britain, of course, you know, for Iraq, because they gave a middle finger to the UN, to international law, and did what they wanted. And I think it's important to remind you that Joe Biden helped do that. And, you know, I just because the Congress passes a piece of paper, that doesn't make it law. Okay. I mean, this piece of paper is worthless outside of the United States. Yeah. You want to go to war in Iraq. So what? Iraq is not in the United States, right? It's a different country. And, regardless, it's the principle that these guys say. They were, to this day, you know, they're acting like they didn't do anything, like, you know, Putin is worse, and what they did with Bush is fine, you know, and that's really sweeping something under the rug, right? And it shows you again how these two parties is just a joke, man. It's a joke. You know, they're working together. They're two birds of a feather, you know, Mr. Kerry and Mr. Bush, Mr. Biden and Mr. Bush. Two birds of a feather. Always been that way, always will be.